bottom line opening statement, and we'll take your questions from there. This will be no getting a part once afterwards. Chief?
Well, thanks, Dan, and let me thank all of you for coming here today and allowing us the opportunity to share some news with you. As you all know, Thad and I, at the end of the season, had a sit-down meeting and talked about the goals and objectives that I felt we needed and he felt we needed in order to get our program back to where he built it. And during that conversation, it became apparent to me that we probably needed to facilitate a change. And so Thad and I talked about that. We came to a mutual understanding that it was time for a leadership change in our men's basketball program. So we're in the process of going through that now. We've met with the team, met with other support people around the program, and we'll begin a national search as soon as this is over to find someone who can come in and do what Thad has done for a long time here. So we feel that we were fortunate to have him as our basketball coach for so long and enjoy the great successes that you all have and you all know about that he brought to this program. He set a standard for us. And so I want to publicly thank him and Barb and his family for all the great work and effort that he's put into The Ohio State University, all the young men that he recruited here and provided an opportunity to get their education, an opportunity to be champions and go on to the next level. While this may be a surprise to many, I think it's the right thing for our program at the right time, and we'll go about the business of doing a national search immediately. So, Thad.
Well, let me say this. I think thinking about it, if you wanted the exact thought of where my emotions are, there's a great song that says, sometimes the light shines brightly on me, other times I can barely see. Lately it's occurred to me what a long, strange trip it's been. And, you know, obviously, this has been probably the greatest 13 years of my life. You know, just looking around here and seeing all these things that the guys have been able to accomplish has been awesome. You know, thanking my wife, my two daughters. They've been with me at the top and at the bottom. You know, I think from Gene to Dr. Drake to Dr. Gee to Andy Geiger, Buckeye Nation, been an incredible run. You know, and I know how hard the conversation was that we had, but completely understand it. We mutually agreed to do this. You know, I think from so many people that I'd like to thank. You know, 13 years, it's amazing, the friendships. You guys, you know, I've always said this, for some reason, you've always treated me well. The Schottenstein staff, you know, just everybody in this building. I'd like to name them all, but my boys downstairs and I have had an incredible time. You know, I think from my coaches, current coaches, we've had a heck of a run of basketball coaches come through here. There's no question about that. You know, I think to the doctors, you know, starting with Vince O'Brien. Vince ever wrote a book and told the things that he and I have been through. You know, from Dr. Kading, my neighbor, how many times I pulled up to his house at probably 10 o'clock at night and said, I can't move. He'd get me good. Dr. Jones, you know, taking the pills to coach, the pills would stop coaching, the shots before the games, stuff wears on you. It's, you know, been an amazing deal. But Most importantly, I want to thank the players. Damn, we've had some good ones. Those are the guys that get the job done for you. And I'm grateful to them. Thank you.
Coach, congratulations on what was an amazing run at Ohio State, the career coaching leader here. Just in your mind, what do you think the legacy of this time, the lives you've touched, everything that has come out of this, beyond wins and losses, just your thought about the legacy that you'll have here?
Well, I hope, number one, remembered as a really good person and a guy who cared about the university, a guy that cared about his players. And, I think from that perspective, that's probably what's most important to me. The wins, the losses, those things, they come. We hit a stretch here that was probably about a 5-year stretch, as good as anybody in the country in terms of college basketball. And I think the last thing that I hope I'm always remembered for is we always did it the right way. And that to me is something that I'm going to hold or hang my hat on, that this program was run the right way.
Thad, congratulations.
Thank you.
Do you think you're finished coaching or not?
I'm gonna give you the standard answer. Never say never. But Clay, honestly, my whole focus right now is trying to get healthy. That's all I am concerned about. I think if I were to go back into coaching, it would probably be track, because when the parents want to cuss me out after the game, I can say, this is the time your son ran. I can't help you on that. There were no shots, no touches, anything like that. So it might be track, but no, I don't know. My whole focus is on just trying to get my body where I can continue to be serviceable.
Are you hopeful of that, given some time away?
Oh, there's no question. I mean, I don't think anybody can truly comprehend what this job, coaching, does to you. It's the things that I went through a year where I couldn't walk. I couldn't take my shoes off after a game. I couldn't take my pants off after a game. I'd have to curl up in a ball. That's why I was always late for the media stuff. And that's why I said just the stuff I've had to go through in terms of being serviceable. But, maybe to a fault, I've always fought. And, and that's what I felt I had to do for the players.
Gene, why the timing on this now?
Well, it's like I said, I felt confident after the season. Once Thad and I sat down, we had a good plan going into the summer. Recruiting is a major part of it, of that plan. We weren't winning the battles in recruiting that I thought we might have a chance to win, as he did. Mm-hmm. And so as we started talking about that on Friday, which was 3 months or so after that meeting we had, it's just the flow of the conversation took me to the reality that, as I said to him, Dad, maybe it's time for us to make a leadership change. And then he agreed. And recruiting, as we all know, is the lifeblood of this program. We have some outstanding young men returning. I mean, they're awesome, but they needed some help in the recruiting. And so that kind of led me to the conversation, to have the conversation with him. And so that's why we did it at this time.
So just to make sure I'm clear on it, the end of the season, based on what happened on the court, Gene and Thad, you thought this was still a good situation for Thad to be back next year, and then what has happened in the off season is what changed things.
Exactly.
And Thad, do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I think strictly from the standpoint of, as Gene and I talked, we've dealt with some major negativity in terms of recruitment, my future, all those things. And I got 3 coaches in there that I've never seen work harder this spring. And we were battling some things that we couldn't overcome. And as I told Gene, I said, hey, the timing's never good for a coaching change. Let's face it. I got this job on July 7th, 2004, and but the July period is a huge deal, and so yeah, I'm perfectly fine with it.
Gene, when did you first approach Thad about your thoughts that there needed to be a change? And Thad, did you initially accept it, or did you think about it, and did you guys have to kind of negotiate your way to this point?
It happened in a Friday meeting. So we had a touch base meeting on schedule to see where we are, which is what I do with many of my coaches, to evaluate where we're going, what we're doing. And we had that touch base meeting last Friday. And it's kind of hard for me to articulate to you how those meetings go, but we sit and talk about where are we, and it was primarily, obviously, about recruiting. And Thad and I have such a great relationship and open conversation that over time about our program that I just got this feeling as I listened to him that it was time. And so there was not anything leading up to it. It happened in the moment. I've been doing this for 30 years and dealing with thousands of employees. I have a little understanding of behavior, and I could see and sense that maybe it was time. And so that's why I broached it to him, and we had a conversation about it being time, and then we started talking about process for a transition. And Thad has agreed to help in the search. As we move forward in the search, he's agreed to help in the onboarding / transition of whoever we hire. So we talked about all that, and so it wasn't like a singular conversation about. So it was kind of the flow of the moment.
Right. And let me say this, Todd, just from Gene's perspective, or from my perspective with Gene. Gene felt everything that I felt along the way. After a win or after a loss, we ran into each other. I mean, I know it's funny because it kind of puts him in perspective. He's my boss, but he's also a great friend. And through the thick, through the thin, he's never left my side. And for me personally, I could never be more grateful than that, because I'm a guy that thrives on friendships, and he has been as good or as great as he could possibly be in terms of my situation and his support. And I say that I want this basketball program to win a national championship. I think that I've spent 13 years here. This place is home to my family, and and he knows that. And I think that's why we were able to have the type of conversation that we had, because the man that he is.
This is for both you guys, 2 questions. Thad, what are you going to miss the most, do you think? And Gene, when do you hope to have a new coach?
Well, that's real simple for me. The Thursday morning TV show taping is what I'm going to miss the most about this thing. No, I don't know, Dom. I think that there's so many things. And, the one thing that I've told myself is today does not define who I am. Okay? I've got some of the greatest memories at this place. What do you miss? I think there'll be a lot of different things that I'm going to miss the pre-game, post-game press conferences. I don't know what I'll do without those. And but no, I don't know. I mean, I'm at a pretty. What's that? Oh, there's no question. I mean, that's the, when you think about over time, guys that we've brought in here, and you've watched them grow. People probably don't know. When I got here, we had a 20% graduation rate. We're up to, I think, 88% right now. To see these guys walk in here and the one and dones that we had, and those guys fulfilling their dreams. The stories are countless, and I don't want to be up here all day, but I could tell stories that makes me feel good. Just in terms of what we were able to accomplish. I'm very proud of it.
I don't have a timeline. No time is optimal, but obviously this time is not the best. So I need to be sensitive to what I'm dealing with in this window of time. So I do not have a timeline. I'm going to do my best to search to find the right person that fits the Ohio State University. That is, besides wins and losses, he set a standard with culture and how we do things the right way. And in basketball, you have to take your time to find that type of person that is always going to do it the right way when you're not looking. And so I'm going to take my time and do it right.
Who's running it now?
Thad has agreed to stay on. And again, we're blessed. We have so many support people around our student athletes. Vince in training, Dave Richardson, and we just got a lot of people around. And so I feel comfortable that the guys will have what they need as they move through summer school and workouts.
Quick follow to that. When you say Thad is staying on, what does that entail?
So he'll help me, and as I talk to candidates, and as soon as I call a candidate, they're going to call him for next. So we have to be aligned with our conversations. He'll help me. I might not necessarily know a particular thing about a particular candidate, and he'll help me try and vet that out. Okay, and if we're having a particular issue with one of our current athletes, I'll call Thad, or someone will call Thad and say, hey, we need to help this young person as they go through this particular challenge. So it's not like he's doing a full-time job. I don't want to draw that line. It's really targeted based upon where we need help.
Thad, you talked about the run that you've had and the doing things the right way, I think was the phrase that you used. Is there a point when maybe did you get a little sick of it? Just did the recruiting and dealing with everything that goes into that, and does that factor in at all?
It can beat a guy up. There's no question about that, and I think that. But here's the thing: this is a challenging profession, and I've always said this: if you're not intimately involved on a daily basis, you're in the meetings, you're in the homes, you're in the gyms, you're working with the guys. You have no idea. Some of the things the challenges that lie there, and I want to touch again with Gene, because I think one of the greatest lessons I learned in coaching was when I went to Xavier. Skip Prosser helped me transition into that job, where most coaches say, I hope you lose because I don't want you to look better than me, and I've assured Gene that I'm going to do everything I can to help this program become the program that they want it to be.
Gene, I think the new players arrive today or tomorrow.
They're here.
Who, I guess in the interim, will be running the off-season program? And you said you want to take your time. Are you open to perhaps the team being coached by someone on the staff on an interim basis next season?
Next season, do not anticipate getting there, but anything could happen. So right now, Dave Richardson will be running the strength and conditioning part, working with Vince. We have Adam and Sasso working around the academic part. The assistant coaches are still on staff, and they're still employed, and so they'll be doing their jobs unless they find another job. So we still have our staff in place.
Thad, if you were 100% healthy, would you still be Ohio State's coach?
Yeah, probably.
you think your health, how did your health impact your ability to coach at the highest level the past couple of years?
Yeah, I think it was more of just a physical thing, not a mental thing. I had to change a lot it's going to be in 11 days, it'll be 10 years. And not that I remember the date, but I think just from the standpoint, there's had to be a lot of adjustments. And you say, well, that was the decline. No, it wasn't the decline. We had our heyday when I was in this situation. There's no the run we had. So by no stretch am I using that as an excuse or anything. Do I wish it was better? Yeah, I do. Gene probably wishes it was better, but it's just one of those things. But I would never make that as an excuse. It is what it is, and I've had to deal with it.
That, can you talk in more detail about that, as far as when the surgery was and what you had done and when it really started to get bad for you?
10 years is long. When you're a coach, you don't have a lot of recollection on that, but just the foot drop, and I think that if any of you have ever had 4 major back surgeries, that, and that's dating back to 2015, or I'm sorry, when I was 15 years old at Mayo Clinic, when I was in high school, was my first surgery. So it's been kind of a chronic issue, but I think, Gene has come to me, gosh, twice a year and said, is there anything I can do to help you? Is there anything you need to make this better for you to do your job? And I'm grateful for that. And so, it is. I mean, he backed me 100% through the deal.
You told us in March about some of the negative recruiting regarding your health that you've had to deal with. Has the culture of recruiting in your time here changed, and is it more difficult now for you or anybody that takes over to do things the way you've done them and been successful?
Yeah, much more. I think recruiting is so much more challenging these days, and I think I would speak for all 350 college basketball coaches that there's no question that the landscape has drastically changed, just in terms of just all the things. When I think back, I've always told people this: the easiest recruitment I've ever had in my time at Ohio State was 2 guys named Greg Oden and Mike Conley. It was easy because they didn't want to be recruited. Great players did not want to be recruited. They looked at a situation and said, can I get what I want out of there and give them what they want? And and when you try to tell people that today, they're like, you're nuts. And but I just looking back on that, it's definitely changed, just in terms of the, I've tried to explain to recruits. I started 2 guys in an Elite 8 game to go to the Final Four in 03 at Xavier, and neither one of them were top 200 high school players coming out. But that's one of those things that you gotta adjust and find a way.
Gene, the fact that Thad is taking a hand in the coaching search, does that make it more or less likely that someone from the Matta tree will be ending up taking his position?
Yeah, I can't speculate on that. I really can't. I just don't know where we'll end up, and anything can happen. We're going to conduct a national search, and all candidates will be vetted, and so I just don't know.
And let me get this straight. If the guy comes in here and does great, I was involved. If he doesn't do well, I have nothing to do with that. Okay.
I remember your opening press conference where the theme of the question was, how long are you going to be here? Were we right to speculate back then? I mean, or was this always a situation where you anticipated the first line of your bio someday could be Ohio State men's basketball coach?
On that day, if you'd have said 13 years from now, you're going to be here, I probably would have said, where do I sign up for that? I was taking that in a heartbeat. There's no question about that. I think just from the everything that we've been through. When I came here, I was known as a hop-along guy. I was going from place to place to place, and I stated I wanted to set up roots here and build this program, and hopefully I did a pretty decent job of doing that.
For both guys, Gene, you said that you talked to Thad and suggested maybe it's time. Thad, did you consider resigning, and were scenarios broached such as you would retire after coaching one more season? And if not, why was that scenario not played out, and why was
right.
end today?
Well, in Gene and I's discussion, he threw a lot of things at me. I don't want to speak for him, but I don't think he really wanted to make this move. But after the discussion, we both sort of agreed that it probably needed to be done. I think from the standpoint of somebody else, for what he wants, he could have been a nice guy, but his job is to run this basketball program, and I respect that. There's no doubt in my mind.
Yeah, we didn't. Let's make sure you got your question answered. We did not talk about, hey, I did not say to him, hey, can you stay one more year and drive through this thing? I did not do that, and it was never a part of our conversation. So I felt where he was, and I was also quantifiably looked at where we were from my responsibility point of view, and just felt like it was time.
Thad, how difficult was it to come to that conclusion for you in that meeting? As you're just having a talk, and then sort of just gets put on you, how difficult was that for you?
Well, I think the one thing I've always done a pretty good job of in my life, dating back to 2000, you prepare for that conversation. It's coaching, and there's Gene. I mean, there's a lot of thoughts that go through your mind, but I say this once again: this university, this program means so much to me, and his friendship means the world to me. I want what's best for the program, and if it's not me being here, I understand that, and I respect it. But it's one of those deals that two types of coaches, you know who they are. So I just joined the other side today.
Gene, question I have, in recent years, there have been some highly publicized guys from the state of Ohio that have gone and played at other places, including an All-American from Duke going to the NBA right now. Just in your mind, how important is it getting back to Ohio roots? And beginning with 2018, it's an amazing class of players. I know you can't discuss individual players, but how important will it be to capitalize on this situation immediately?
Important. As I said earlier, recruiting is the lifeblood of the program. And Thad and I talked about the next 2 years in Ohio. And frankly, when you look at what he had transitioned to do, was to kind of get back into Ohio in the Midwest. So he had started that process. So you're exactly right. The next person that we attract will have a major focus in Ohio, and actually a 150 to 200 mile radius. And so that's very important. Good question.
Thad, since the season ended and you've been out recruiting, you've been out, you keep slugging away. What has that been like? What was it like on the recruiting trail the last couple of months? What was it like trying to turn things around and to get things back to where they were? What was that? How did you feel your message was received when you were out there, and what were those battles like the last couple of months?
Probably it's the same. You know what I'm saying? The same thing year after year: spring, summer, fall, winter. But I don't know. It just it was challenging because of the situation that has occurred, throughout the course of this season and after the season. It made it very, very difficult.
Can I ask just one logistical question? What's the contract status? Is there any kind of buyout here, or where does that wind up?
Thad's contract will be honored. He has 3 more years remaining, and particulars on how that will be handled are being worked out, but we'll honor the remaining part of his contract.
One last question.
Thad, for you personally, is it a feeling right now of relief, of unfinished business? What is just the feeling you have as you step away?
I'm starting to get some feeling back because this job makes you numb. People always say, like, what's it like to coach? And I said, you coach in the Big Ten, you kind of become numb. You've got Indiana in here, and you play the game, and then it's like, hey, we're going to Michigan State on Tuesday. Then after that, we got Wisconsin on Wednesday. So you sort of become numb. I'll be perfectly honest with you. Since this has happened, I've done nothing but thought of the good times, and that's all I will think about. One thing you can rest assured, I made enough great memories here to last me.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Got it.